Welcome to episode 49 of the Hype
Almost 50.
Pod. We're almost at 50.
Wow.
We're going to have to save 50. We're going to go to 51, 52, and then when we're all back together, we'll 50.
I like that.
Yeah, we'll come back to 50.
Yep.
But how you guys been? It's been a while since the band's been back together.
Oh, man, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
You're busy.
Yeah.
You're busy.
You're busy.
I've been busy.
Yeah.
I've been really well. Very happy. Been doing a lot of travel. Kind of like not just a lot of travel. I think it's been a lot of when you go through one of those seasons where you kind of reset a lot and you restructure and you kind of recoup and regroup. And so that's kind of what the zone I've been in, and looking at the vision scaling for the next 10 years and what have we got in our systems to be able to scale. And it's been a lot of kind of head down, bum up, so to speak, on, busy, trying to get the structure set. And I'll say this, I'm very, very excited about the future, very excited about what we're building and how we're building it. And I just feel invigorated with vision and strategy.
Well, you said something, right? You're like, in 10 years, in your reflection, in 10 years, it's either going to be genius or you're going to look crazy.
Yep. It's either one of the two. There's no middle ground. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Really for me, it's been a journey of, in November, we launched a pretty audacious vision for the church. You kind of launch a vision, cast a vision, to see how it sticks. And if it sticks, well, then you got to go, well, let's figure out how to build it. You don't figure out how to build it before you get the buy-in for it. And so since our church has had a radical buy-in, we are currently, I think, at 102% fulfilled on the vision, which I've never been in that over 100% fulfilled. That shows the church is invigorated also. And the responsibility to recalibrate and restructure is a very exciting journey. For every stage, I think, of a company build, you need to kind of look at, is what we've got scalable? What moves do we have to make to kind of hit the goal? And we're right in the midst of that right now.
Would you describe it more as audacious? For people that don't know, Pastor Adam launched 100 campus, 100 location vision for Vibe Church. Would you characterize it more audacious or ambitious? It could be both, but
I think it could be a little
which
bit
one would you pick?
I think it depends on your context, right? I think outside it's probably ambitious. Internally, I think it's just audacious.
Yeah.
Because I know the quality of people that we have in our church.
Great.
I think from a couple of people last week at a conference we were both at, I had a few people probably refer to it as ambitious. They actually said that word, like, oh, that's pretty ambitious. And I thought, I don't want to take offense to that because it could be a little bit offensive if someone said that's ambitious, because it's not my ambition. Like, this is really the leading of the Holy Spirit and in good collaboration with leaders in our church.
Right.
But it's still a big gap. That's what makes it audacious.
Yeah.
And so
You've always used that language, audacity.
Yeah, it's audacity.
That's part of the fabric of Vibe.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, for sure.
The audacity of our God, like, he can do it.
Yeah, based on what I know about God.
Sure.
And really what I feel is, in the context of our church, it requires an audacious vision. Otherwise, you have permission to be offended with me if I give you a small vision.
Right. Low expectations.
Low expectations should be offensive. High expectations should be exciting.
Yeah. Which part of this process is difficult for you? Not to like belabor this point, but because you get it from God. So it's like kind of like you have freedom to be audacious. But what part of this process is it just now delivering it to the rest of the congregation? Or
No, I think I get part from God. So with this vision, I got really the really being transparent. I know we're only in the introduction.
Yeah.
But
straight into it.
Just we're making up for lost time, guys.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, the 100 locations I came up with. But when I was around the team of leaders that I pulled together, they came up with the 10 years. So it was essentially the team of leaders that I had around me that made it audacious. Because 100 locations over 100 years is pretty lame. But in 10 years, that's what makes it audacious. So it wasn't just me. It was us as a team, and that's what actually gives me a lot of confidence.
Well, is it lame, or is it not representative of what you were saying, the people that is surrounding?
Yeah, probably not lame. That's probably a little bit, because
a lot of people are not going to plant campuses in their lifetime.
Yeah. I mean, there's one church for 100 years old. That's pretty cool. But maybe lame is
no.
Not
You're
the
saying
right thing.
contextually to your situation.
Yeah, correct.
I
I think in the context of, we're in the Silicon Valley.
That's right.
We have people who want to change the world, and we want to give a red hot go of that in our lifetime.
Right.
I think for me, my best years are my next 10 years. And so what can I do with my best years in the next 10 years to really sprint hard, work hard, build an impact on this earth, and then see what the next.
That's also a cool framework, right? To just say like, my next 10 years is gonna be my best 10 years.
Yeah.
You know,
you
like,
have that choice.
Was there a situation where you're like, no, I'm just gonna choose the next 10 years my, best 10 years?
Yeah,
or is that like an actual like framework?
No, I think there's always a temptation to glide. There's always a temptation just to coast and be like, man, we've built something that we just carry this and we could just maintain it. I think that is the secret death knell for your career or your, I guess, ministry. I think you have to have you have to sell yourself on the belief that the next 10 is the best 10.
Good.
And it's going to be better than any 10 before this. And I think if you just frame it with that, you'll go in with an expectation, I'm going to work hard.
Yeah, I've been saying this language. I've just been kind of fleecing it within the staff at Overflow. I got the best job ever.
Right.
Nice.
I got the best job ever. I keep saying it, and then I keep telling people when I'm on different, work trips and things like that. I'm like, you got the best job ever.
Yeah.
And I can see the language starting to catch because it's substantiated with a lot of purposeful work.
Right.
And it's just powerful, right? Culture.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so crazy how what you say can just manifest.
Huge.
It's like you set up yourself by the words that come out of your mouth, right? Like you just create this verbiage. We used to call it like the best church.
Yep, best church ever.
The best church ever, right?
It offended a lot of people because they misunderstood. We weren't being obnoxious.
Right.
The whole idea was the best church ever is the one you're investing in.
Of course.
And the best job ever is the one that you're committing your heart to. And
Right.
so it is a statement, but people misread it.
Yeah. But I feel like it's cool to start with all this optimism and joy, because right now, things aren't looking too hot if you're in the US and the economy's kind of been crashing a little bit. Curious where you guys are at with that. I mean, it's great to hear that things are going well for you guys, but where you guys are at, what you guys are hearing, because I'd love to chat about the tariffs, the government cuts. I have some notes on it that I want to chat about, but just overall sentiment for you guys, where you guys are at.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, we're seeing. I mean, this is interesting, right? We've got. I think it's very polarizing at the moment. Of course, government is. What I'm optically seeing is, yes, there are parts of the economy that are struggling. Stock market. Options are good. Every time the stock market's down, options are up. And so depending on where you're investing is whether or not this is a good time or a hard time. But I think it really depends on what your position is right now. If you have lost, gain, I mean, Vance and I always have said this in the past. When a stock market's down, it's only bad if you sell.
Yeah.
Right. So if you hold your position knowing that there is a rebound, or if you can double down in this season and purchase, now's a good time to buy.
Right. Right.
So it's really hard to buy when the stock market's booming. You're looking at everything in the green. You're like, I don't want to buy high. I want to buy low. So it's really about your stability and your reserves. This actually, believe it or not, throughout history, people who have made moves in economy is when the economy is down.
Of course.
So if you're really fragile right now, it's because you've been over leveraged in a good economy.
Right.
And so what this should teach you is another wave of cycle, and you got to zoom out and look over time that there's ups, downs, there's peaks, there's troughs. If you can position yourself with reserves for a trough to make a big move, when you get the gains, then you're actually building wealth in those seasons.
Yeah, totally.
I know that did probably answer your question, but
No.
Well,
I agree.
I wish I could care more.
Yeah.
I just don't have a lot of money in the market. But I wish. I wish I felt it.
it'd be nice to be upset.
I'd be like, man, I wish I was mad now. Because just with Overflow, we put a lot into that, and just housing in the Bay Area, all that type of stuff. I think what's interesting is anything related to investment, kind of like what Pastor Adam is saying, unless you're a day trader, you always have to take the long-term view. Right. In these seasons, it actually shouldn't affect you as much if you are invested into the market, because you want a dollar cost average,
right?
All the way down, all the way up. Because over time, if you have conviction in something, when you zoom Tesla out, it's up and to the right. Right. It looks crazy in between, but when you zoom out, it's up and to the right. Apple's up and to the right. Right. These companies that you have conviction on, they're up and to the right. And so I think that people that freak out will just freak out in general in life. I do think what you brought up though with the tariffs is an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Because as I started trying to understand tariffs more, I think it's pretty much consensus that economically it's net a bad move, right? Because of just the increased costs that it provides everybody, and it hurts the consumer because like the providers here that are providing the services and the products to Americans are just going to increase their prices, right? So economically, I think, it does seem to lead to inflationary activity. In saying that, I don't think that Trump is doing it for the economy. I think he's just doing it to show everybody who's in charge. I feel like he doesn't just play economic games. From what I've seen, I think he's playing like social games as well. And maybe game is a little bit trite to say it like that, but he's playing social dynamics. I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's one thing that even, because I've been looking into it too, you just hear all this like rhetoric and it's like, I need to understand really what is kind of the reasons he might be doing it. So like one other side to that is that he's actually trying to bring the manufacturing back into the U.S.
Sure.
Right? So you make everything more expensive.
But it's not necessarily the most efficient system.
Definitely not. Right. Definitely not. So like the idea is you create these trade wars, and ideally both sides realize it's beneficial for us to figure out some common ground, and then you negotiate better terms. Because I think the thing that most people are talking about is we have actually terrible terms with most countries. And so Trump is trying to fix a lot of this, right?
He's trying to renegotiate.
He's trying to renegotiate. And the only way you can do that is create some leverage, right? And so doing this helps us there. But actually, on the last All In podcast, David Freeberg created this whole narrative of what's the most optimistic case for everything that Trump is doing. And so there's 3 pillars that he talks about. One is tariffs. The second is the taxes, like reducing income tax. And the third is reducing government spend. And so it's actually all 3 working in unison that allows us to get to where we want to get. But it's so drastic of a change that it's causing so many hiccups, right? And so it's like, this is what people voted for when they voted for Trump, is they want to change, right? But then seeing it actually happen is
disruptive.
It's very disruptive.
It's disruptive, but I think what you could do as a consumer and as an American, it could affect your spending habits, what you're going to buy, what vehicle you're going to buy. It's going to inflate different prices on different things. Is it going to affect your day-to-day necessities? Not exactly, because your eggs, your meat, all that kind of stuff is within country already. But on your new car purchase or on all those kinds of things, those kinds of things, it will affect that if you're in into that season of life. I think the long-term view is it brings a lot more onshore manufacturing, American manufacturing, things that we are reliant. And I don't think Trump likes the word of reliant. Who are we reliant on? How can we be self-reliant as a country? And when you're talking about a lever, if you have a self-reliance, then you've got the lever. I don't need you. That's a great bargaining chip. If you need somebody, that's a bad bargaining chip. You have actually limited bargaining power. But if it's not that we need you, but we just would like to, that's a great position to negotiate on. And I think you've got to bring onshore manufacturing first, build out so that you have leverage.
Yeah, definitely. And then the other part of this was the stuff that Doge is doing. And I want to talk about, where Elon's at with all this. And I'm just going to look it up because it's on doge.gov. So this is like the official site. So current estimated savings is $105 billion.
That's a lot.
Again, this is all still needs to be verified by like third-party sources. This is all kind of the stuff by the Doge organization. So, you take it with a grain of salt. And even even Elon has said, we're not going to get everything right. Like, we will admit when we do. But that's what I appreciate about him. It's like he's very transparent about this entire process, right? But there are a lot of people out there trying to attack him.
My gosh.
Tesla. There was cyber attacks that took down Grok and Twitter. There was all the defamation, vandalization of like...
okay, so let's talk about the cyber attacks. I mean, can I just caveat this with saying, hey, now is a good time to buy Tesla stock. Okay, because it's great.
It's like down like 50% or something.
It's low.
Great time.
It's a bargain sale right now. But, you've got the cyber attacks. You've got the cyber truck attacks. You've got the Tesla, things. There's, I think I posted something on the weekend. I drove out of church. I drove down to Los Altos, and there was literally a guy who was driving his Tesla with a really like crappy sign stuck on the back, stop Musk and stuff like this. I'm like, hang on, the irony is crazy.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's just a big protest. If you were just selling their cars for cheap to like protest Tesla.
People are willing to take an L, right? Big time. Here's the That's the picture. That was the car. Okay, check this out.
Oh, that's
I gotta get it over the social media team.
Yeah.
But it was hilarious, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's just ironic. You're driving a Tesla and you're saying stop Musk.
Right.
Hang on. So I think for me, maybe I wanted to ask you guys, is this just, entrenched party lines that even though you've got Elon who is on a mission to save Americans money, to save taxpayer money, and I believe the goal has even been if they can save enough, they'll give everyone a $5,000 tax refund.
That's what they're talking about, yeah.
That's what they're talking about. Where does the vitriol hate come from? Is it just a flow on from their Trump derangement syndrome that's now Elon derangement syndrome? Have they convinced that this is net negative to save money for the government to get us out of that much debt? Like, where do you feel that the angst is coming from?
What is the argument, Arun?
So I will
Online.
tell you
What's the chatter?
Yeah, I'll tell you the chatter. Okay.
Yeah.
None of
What
it's
are you
bad.
hearing in the streets, Arun?
So I'm basically hearing that this is exposing a lot of government fraud. This is basically
Of course.
exposing a lot of misuse of funds, and the people that are most angry are the ones that were once getting away with this and are now no longer getting away with this, right?
Are we talking FBI, CIA, BlackRock? What are we talking here?
I
Who are
don't know
those people?
exactly. I don't know exactly which organization, but I think all of the ones that have you heard about all the stuff that USAID,
Yes.
the DEI,
All the
where the
people
funds
that
are
are
going,
benefiting from it, yes.
Right. There's a lot of people that were using. I think they're called NGOs or something. These vehicles essentially.
NGOs,
to,
yes.
Yeah, they're
NGOs.
to kind of
Yep.
transfer
Non-government
funds
organizations.
where they shouldn't be going.
Right.
Essentially, right. There was a lot of unchecked, essentially, play happening in the government, and now it's getting checked, and that's where I think the hate is coming from. I don't think it's coming from the general person that thinks, "Oh, this is a bad idea." I think it's misinformation being spread.
But
from
they're definitely
top down.
recruiting and triggering that.
You're right. Agreed.
So
Yeah.
because the general person to put a sign on the back of their Tesla
Right.
has to be triggered by some media narrative that they're receiving.
It's
Yeah.
interesting how people can get radicalized, huh?
Yeah.
No, they're getting radicalized for sure. And I mean, I understand it. So there was, I remember Elon put out this statement. I think it was on a podcast where he was talking about there was this one dude one NGO, let's say one NGO who had been signed off on getting $1 billion.
Yeah, I heard that.
But then the person left the USAID and it never got turned off. So they would just every year kept
Every
getting
year.
that $1 billion.
Wow.
Now that person's mad. For
Of
sure.
course,
yeah.
And if I stop my $1 billion paycheck every year, I'd probably radicalize some people.
Right.
Yeah, and that person probably saved up $10 billion and
Yep.
now can hire an army
Right.
Hire an
to
army.
radicalize. I mean, it's like kind of the Soros playbook.
Yep.
And
That is the Soros playbook.
Yeah.
Hire people, protest, stand out the front, cause a drama. Yeah.
I do feel like it's a racket because, again, I just...
Oh, it's 100% a racket.
I always feel like, am I in a bubble? Because like most
Yes.
people I talk to that are reasonable, and I still live in the Bay Area, people, are not hating on Elon.
Right.
I even saw Gavin Newsom have a conversation with Charlie Kirk.
Oh, please talk about this. I
That
need to listen
was
to this.
wild.
Please tell us about
I
this.
That
feel
was
like Gavin
wild.
was like
Yeah.
agreeing with most of what Charlie was
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Like,
No,
I
he
like,
was almost fanboying Charlie.
He was
Right,
fanboy.
right.
He's like, my son loves you. I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's like, what
wait,
the heck?
what's going on?
I think Charlie was confused.
No, Charlie
Charlie's
was
like,
so taken aback.
hang on.
Charlie was ready to fight, and he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, this is pleasant." Because Gavin said, "I appreciate you like 50 times."
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
"This is
Yeah,
this
that
is
was
amazing."
That was really weird.
Because I think when you just kind of carry out the logical conversation,
Right.
there are just a lot of things. Gavin did push back on some areas where I think it's very thin, but it's like, hey, I believe in fairness. So they were talking about how 870 medals to date that they recorded has been won by, transgender.
Yeah.
And even Gavin was saying, hey, I don't disagree on fairness. This is unfair. He was like agreeing with that. But, we just got to make sure not to talk down on them because they have higher risk of suicide and things like that. Right. And so
come on.
he's pushing back on empathy cards
Right,
and things
right.
like that, which is still the left playbook.
Right.
But it was interesting that it wasn't that much pushback.
Yeah.
Most of it was like pretty agreeable, which I was like, what is this podcast? I
Yeah.
don't
Did
understand.
it change your tune on Gavin at all? Because I just saw the feedback after.
No.
It didn't change it.
No, it actually made me have less respect for Gavin.
because he didn't stand on his.
Well, no, like if you're just playing to whoever's in front of you. I feel like you're just playing to party. He has zero convictions. I want to see. I have more respect for a leader who had like a really strong conviction, not just what's going to win him the seat.
Right.
And that's what he revealed. He revealed he's snaky. He just wants to play to whoever. He'll even play to Charlie. He'll play to people. He's backtracked some things he said. It's like, oh, you are a classic politician. He is a politician through and through. And I think his position on transgender, I mean, even we saw in the Senate yesterday, you had the House chair. They're upset because he misgendered that new transgender senator and called him by his Mr. name instead of Mrs.
This recently happened?
Happened yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
You should see the clip. And they had to call off the meeting, had to adjourn the meeting. But this person is not going to, from the chair's position, I'm not going with a lie. We have a man who is dressed up as a woman.
Right.
And I'm not going to play the game.
Right.
And then people are getting upset with that. It was funny because I was like, I saw the comments, and the comments are like, oh, the guy who got upset is a true ally. And everyone kept using the word ally. And I'm like, oh, a real ally doesn't tell a lie. That's what I was thinking. And I wanted to put it in the comments, but I got distracted. But I'm like, no, you're going along with a lie. That's not an ally. That's not truth.
Yeah.
And I think that what we're actually seeing now is the confrontation of people who want to be truth tellers and people who are going to go along with a lie just to be nice, like Gavin.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and so just taking back to where you were asking is like, where is this coming from, right? Like, where is all of this sentiment towards Elon coming from? I actually don't know, because I was looking for the same thing, because I'm confused as well, because it seems like such a good move. Like, you know, he's trying to do the right thing. So I'm like, am I getting deceived? You know, I'm on Twitter, so like that's where Elon's kind of posting all this stuff. Am I getting it from the wrong places? So I've been asking people, like, what are your issues? Like, people that are on the other side of this, it's like, what are your issues? And it was a lot of, he's moving too fast. He's breaking a lot of things. It feels like he's going unchecked.
People think he's moving too fast.
Yeah.
In what way?
They feel like he has like for some of the stuff that's happened recently, where it's like, if you don't respond to this email, you will get fired. Like you
that's have to, called normal work.
Agreed. That's
right. That's called
like,
normal
right?
work. No, I can understand for somebody who's done anything for the last 12 months. Whoa, guys, this is you want me to do something for this money? Sure. Okay. Hey, I actually have to turn up.
Right.
Whoa, slow down, Elon.
Right.
But in an Elon environment, this is like basic bare essentials.
Right. No, I agree. I'm totally
like you don't get rockets to Mars by doing one thing a year.
Right. There's this sentiment though on the other side that it feels like he's gonna break things that we won't be able to come back from. Because like his idea is we'll move fast, we'll break, and then we'll figure out what we actually need, and then we'll bring it back. But people think that he's gonna break too much too quickly.
Okay, play that out.
So I think the one argument would be with the cuts that are having in education right now.
Yep.
I think it was like 50% cuts essentially to education. And the idea was there was a lot of young people. This is something I heard online. There was a lot of young people that went into education when they could have taken a private sector kind of job and like just been in it for the money. But like they took this government job and it was supposed to kind of help push education forward. And now you are taking that away. And so it's like now more people would be less likely to get into the government sector and would want to go into the private sector. So they
I think it was Vivek that came out originally with the education accusation is that none of this is actually getting through to students or teachers.
Right.
That all of it is staying in bureaucracy. All of it's going to really non-schooling or non-essential programming. So it's getting stuck in mid-levels and it just keeps getting fatter and fatter, and none of it is actually getting through to schools. That's why schools are still asking for funding. And so I don't think it's going to break anything except the people who are scamming the system.
Yeah, I don't know what they're feeding people to radicalize them to boycott Tesla and things like that. I think Tesla is a fantastic product. I think I would recommend buying a Tesla. I have a Tesla, but
Donald Trump's buying a Tesla.
Donald Trump's
that
buying
was
a Tesla.
awesome. The whole fleet
Elon.
of Teslas just in front of the White House.
It is kind of comical
It
though,
is.
that Elon needs help. He's really hurting right now.
I
His
love
net
that
worth
Trump
is
was
from
like
200 billion to 150 billion. He's like, we got to really help this guy. It's like
Trump was like, I'm going to write the check. No discounts. Okay, Trump, thank you. One car. That changed everything.
One car.
Hold my beer.
You saved Tesla one car at a time. That's amazing.
It is a vote of confidence. I would say that
It's America's car now.
What's interesting to me though is how powerful he is getting.
Yes.
That is something that I don't have any actual current problems I can point to with Elon, but I do find it interesting that he's getting more and more powerful.
Hey, wait. Pull the thread on that for a minute. What does that
Yeah,
play
just like
out in your...
satellites, right? Spaceships, internet, right? Transportation, and now government.
Yeah, right.
Right. And I was asking somebody that used to work really closely with him, just about his take and things like that. And he's in a similar position to me. Because I was like, hey, just assure me Elon's a good guy, right? Because he's getting really powerful. And he goes, I think he's a good guy. I think he'll do the right thing. One thing that he found interesting was right after Trump won and he was facilitating one of the rallies, he did notice that it looked like Elon was really loving the positive attention.
Yeah.
And so obviously people would, you're human.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting. And so I don't know what types of checks and balances continue to remain in place, because he's probably one of the most, I don't know, since the Rockefellers, powerful people we've seen on the planet in a really, really long time. You know what I mean?
I think the difference is we're just seeing it in front, not behind.
Totally.
I think this has always happened.
Yeah.
But it's always happened.
He's more transparent
He's
about it.
being right up front, which means it comes with a lot of risk, death threats, all that kind of stuff. Losing $50 billion out of your net worth because of your name's connected to products and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's the risk is what's probably going to keep a lot in check as well.
Yeah. What do you guys think? If you guys had to make your best guess, do you think he is a good person and he's trying to do this for the right reasons, or do you feel like there is an ulterior motive and he is
I think he's good.
The business behind it?
No, I think my take on Elon Musk is he has a genuine concern for humanity and the longevity of humanity. He's expressed that in his concern on the birth rate, and so obviously he's personally doing a lot to help that. And he wants to make humanity an interplanetary what do you call it, species?
Mars?
He wants to have humans not be a singular planetary species. Just for, in his case for that was looking back over time, there's been, seismic shifts in human population. There's been, asteroids, dinosaurs, all those things been wiped out. So, hey, let's preserve humanity by, having people on Mars, in a cataclysmic event. I think for me, that tells me, and I've obviously have a different morality perspective on spirituality, but for him, I think he has a deep concern for the human race. And so he's building things that will enhance the human race and prolong the existence of the human race. I think he's thinking at that level, not on a personal beneficiary level, personally.
I think he's escaped, the need for any of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So he probably is not motivated by that anymore. I pray for salvation occasionally, honestly. Like I pray that, he's put around certain people that can evangelize to him. We're in an evangelism series at Vibe Church. And so I occasionally pray for his salvation, because I heard a clip from him like a couple years ago when he was really promoting AI, right? And one of his main motivations with AI is he wants to elevate human consciousness to the highest levels. I do believe he's a humanist. I think that's how he would describe himself, right? He wants to elevate human consciousness to the highest levels. It's just a reverse polarity to the gospel, right? It's basically the age-old Tower of Babel. What can we do to build to get to God? But the gospel is reverse, right? What happened that God came to us, right? That he doesn't have to actually strive for it, right? And it's an interesting thing because God can use all of it. Obviously, God is using Trump. Obviously, God is using Elon. But I do pray for his salvation, because that idea of humanist can change if you're not rooted in eternal truth at any time. You know what I mean? And that's just more of my, and I don't, control it. I'm not fearful of it. But that's just more of my curiosity of like, wow, he's really rising in power. And I pray for his salvation, that he would do it for the glory of God.
Yeah.
What's your take?
Yeah, no, it's along the same lines. I think he really is about pushing humanity forward. Like he's been talking about this long before he even joined the government. Everything it feels like you said, this money, all this stuff, he's done that. Like he's well past that stage. And now it's about what can I do to leave a legacy for sure. My name, my family. And I think it is for that. And it would be great. Maybe praying. I mean, if you're out there, you're a Christian, pray for him.
I also think I definitely pray for him. Yeah. I mean, if you're at net worth of 200 billion and you like pretty much the richest person in the world, you could easily make a decision. I'm good.
Yeah.
I could just be philanthropic. I could just really enjoy life. I only get so many years on this earth. Why don't I just really enjoy it? But he wants to make impact. He wants to make change. And I think there is what a noble pursuit to look at our government deficit.
It's a great pursuit.
And the dire outlook that is for tanking the economy and how many people that will affect if the US economy is bankrupt. To go, let me step in at my expense and at my credibility, all those kinds of things, and save America.
Yeah.
I don't understand the sentiment of, people hating on Musk for doing what no one else has had the guts to do. For Trump to do what no one else has had the guts. You don't even have to be a Trump fan, but let's think about it. How many presidents would get in and risk their term, their neck on this?
Right.
It's much easier just to spend money and be loved by people. But to be willing to be hated by people, to cut waste, spending, all that kind of stuff, it's not to be popular. It's to save America.
Yeah. And I feel like I would recommend, if you're out there, we talk about this often. Podcasts are a great medium to hear people talk about things in long form. There's a podcast with Elon and Joe Rogan that just came out recently, and I feel like you should definitely check it out.
You have to listen to that one.
One part of the podcast that he talks about is he's literally exposing some of the biggest frauds right now in the government, and it's actually a risk of his own life. And like you said, like he's already worth so much. He could have just taken the easy route. I don't need to do this. But everything he's doing, every step he's taking, he's provoking more and more people. That's affecting their bottom dollar.
He also could have done it behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's true.
He could have just, kind of gone in secret, like the Rockefellers, like all the people in the past that have helped or pushed government or even manipulated government. But he's not taking a back secret position and, like a puppet master. He's out front. He's answering questions. He's talking to the media. He's giving reports.
Right.
That to me is bold and brazen.
I also think
I got to respect that.
You have to have a little personality of mischievousness. To be able to even have the motivation.
Right.
To cope.
Yeah.
And so one other thing I want to talk about, because we've actually touched on this from the aspect of the church, but the government, there's an executive order signed to do a strategic Bitcoin reserve. This is different than the digital asset stockpile that they're going to do. So the Bitcoin reserve is just assets that Bitcoin is seized from criminal activity, and they vow to never sell that. So it's just basically digital gold that they'll keep in their reserves and then be able to use for future items. Then they're going to have,
because they used to sell some of it.
Yeah, I think they would get it and they would sell it immediately. They just wouldn't hold on to it. And so now they're going to hold on to it and actually just hold Bitcoin in the long term. And so I think they estimated if they had held all the Bitcoin that they seized, it was something like 17 billion. It would have been worth 17 billion now.
But they sold it at 300 million.
Exactly. They sold it and it was at a major loss at that. So this is huge. And then the digital asset stockpile just pushes us forward in this crypto narrative. And previously on the podcast, we discussed something. You brought it up kind of a little bit in jest, but it was, what should the church invest in crypto? Now seeing this and seeing what the government has done, has that changed what you?
So let me ask some question. What are the pros and cons of the Bitcoin reserve? I'm guessing it creates more stability in the Bitcoin investment, just because there is a certain amount that's being held by the government that is not going to be pumped and dumped, kind of.
Right. You're talking about the actual token price for Bitcoin. Yeah. This is very bullish for Bitcoin. Now you have essentially Bitcoin that's off the market and never going to be sold.
What's the negative? That it's not available to purchase because there's limited Bitcoin?
No, you can always buy partial Bitcoins. There's always going to be,
Okay, so what's the pros and cons
for
the Bitcoin reserve?
I think the pros are you have government accepting this new form of assets. The cons are,
so it's a big signal for Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's a huge signal for crypto. Yeah, I think the cons and most of the concerns were people didn't want their taxpayer money going towards this riskier asset.
Right.
But I think the good news is they've shown that it's not going to be any of your taxpayer money.
So they want their taxpayer money going to USAID instead. Okay, right.
But there's right now it's just seized assets. So this isn't even taxpayer money. This is just assets. Yeah, just seized assets that they have. So
it's a good call.
Yeah. So just curious if you guys want to touch on, does that change your aspect or your ideas about the church doing this as well?
I mean, I think that personally, and for church entities, there should be a portion allocated towards Bitcoin at this point, especially if it's being backed by the government. Right? It's another form of treasury at this point. Essentially. Right? And so again, I don't think it should be an egregious amount.
Right.
But, to not have that part of your portfolio allocation when some of the best money managers in the world, managing some of the largest ETFs in the world have a material, exposure into Bitcoin would probably not be the wisest. The reality, though, is for most churches, as I continue to serve, we serve 658 churches now. As I continue to get exposed to more and more churches, is that the reality is that most churches don't even have that much reserve, right? And so it's not really the top of mind conversation for churches. For churches that are in that position, praise God, if you're in that position, then you're probably already exploring it. And especially with this decision, you probably should explore it further for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're classifying it as Bitcoin specifically, I think that's a bit more stable. If we're talking about crypto ethos in general, I think there's a whole nother scenario there. Because it's such a wide range of what is cryptocurrency, what coins, meme coins, stable coins, all that kind of stuff. So I think if we zeroed in on Bitcoin, I don't think we need a policy, but we could treat it like a security. We could treat it like a stock account.
It pretty much is.
Maybe a diversified expression. That's if you had stable savings, right? I think most churches that Vance is talking about aren't sitting on a lot of financial reserves. No. They're putting that to work and expanding the kingdom.
That's right.
I think there could be a fair judgment on churches who have a large reserve, because why are you not using that to build kingdom, expand, grow churches, launch missions, all that kind of stuff? This comes down to how much money should a church have?
Interesting.
Do you know what I mean? That's the question. How much money should a university have? Well, what's the purpose of having money? Is it just for security and legacy, or should it be put to work? And your trust is in God. And so in my opinion, if there is a church with a large reserve of, Bitcoin or stock or savings, my question would be,
what is it for?
What's it for? And where's your faith? Is your faith in that, or is your faith in God? Now, I'm not saying don't be wise and not have, I think COVID showed us that we needed more savings than we had for sustainability in a crisis situation. So I think there's got to be a measurement on what that looks like, but let's use every dollar to advance the kingdom. Because if we do believe time is short on earth, we need to maximize every time. And if we've got dollars to reach people, let's use it.
Yeah. I was listening to David Sachs, who's our crypto and AI czar for the government now.
AI czar, yep.
And so he was describing the two kind of factions that they've created for this. And it's kind of what you're going for. There's riskier assets, which exist outside of Bitcoin. But they created a separate entity or a separate vehicle for that, which they can rebalance. And they've brought in the right people that understand how to rebalance it. That'll continue to monitor it and figure out what's the best way to manage those assets. And then you have Bitcoin, which in their mind is such a stable product at this point. You can say what you want about the crypto markets kind of going up and down, but like within that realm, it's the one that's been going up and to the right. You haven't been major outages, this is the asset that we can believe in. And so it kind of goes to that idea of like, if you put the right people in place, in my opinion, at a church, you can manage these assets in a way that can help grow your reserve to help you be able to do these missions or whatever tasks that you want to do with it.
I just think it's probably like what Van's saying, it's probably 1% of churches that are in that consideration anyway.
For sure.
I think right now what most churches need to do if they receive Bitcoin is move it into money that they can actually exchange for goods. To move the mission forward, to put on Easter, to reach the neighborhood.
For sure.
Right.
How is it affecting you guys?
So we
at SWE.
So at SWE, we just recently announced the World Liberty Finance, which is also a separate thing, but this is just by, I think my understanding of it is like Trump family is kind of building this new DeFi kind of protocol with his reserve. So they announced that they would be adding SWE to their.
Oh wow!
Wow,
that's huge.
Yeah, so that was like before everything kind of crashed.
SWE is becoming MAGA.
Yeah. So that was
you guys.
With a lot of
didn't see that coming.
With a lot of no comment on that, but so it's been great. I mean, I think it's just giving us further validation for what we're building as one of those kind of.
Why are they choosing you? They could choose a bunch of others.
Right. I think it's a lot of the relationships. We have a lot of good partnerships, folks that were in the room with the people that are running this.
Amazing.
And so
best in class.
Yeah. And then we have the kind of tech to back it up, but you still need the people to showcase it. I think the thing that crypto is lacking right now.
So it's all the team, is what he's saying. It's the team behind it.
Crypto is lacking is just apps, right? Like the thing that really tells a story in any kind of space is the app itself, right?
Yep.
Like you don't say, oh, internet technology is fantastic. Here, let me show you about it. You show the apps that are built
Correct.
on internet technologies,
Yeah.
right? And so crypto's still looking for that app. We're still looking for that.
You still don't have that at Sui.
We don't have it anywhere in crypto, really.
Yeah.
Like DeFi, which is like, the number one thing that's
It's
happening in
finance,
crypto.
basically, yeah.
It's just finance, which is the original form of what, crypto was meant to do. And so that exists.
What's
but
the
like,
leading app right now?
Coinbase probably, right?
Yeah, Coinbase is like
Polymarket?
Polymarket is actually a good
pretty
use
big.
case. It's a good use case.
Because that's true DeFi.
Yeah.
And
And it's like
Coinbase is a little bit CeFi.
Mhm, yeah. So like Polymarket is probably the best like decentralized app that, kind of is out there.
But it's not that big.
It's not that big, yeah. And it's because you have to ask yourself, how usable really is crypto for the common person?
Yeah.
It's not really that usable.
Not currently.
There is, with all this AI kind of push going out now, there's these things called AI agents. And so AI agents essentially allow AI to take the next step of what you want to do. So you'll say, I want to make a transfer to Vance of 10 Sui. It will figure out the path to get from my wallet to whatever your wallet is. It might not even be on Sui. It might be your bank account.
Right.
And it'll figure out the path to get there. And that's what AI agents are allowing. It's natural language
That's
transactions.
helpful.
And so that'll get really easy. Like you'll just have an app and you're like, I want to send this money to this person, and it'll figure out the path to get there.
Wow.
And so I think that's where we're kind of going. It's like that crossover between the advancements in AI will help make it easier to use crypto.
I heard Chris Dixon talk about how I think crypto has a big opportunity with AI because it probably is going to be the business model for AI,
Yeah.
right? Because you need, in an agentic kind of model world, you need something, a currency, instead of like just SaaS fees that you're paying every quarter and things like that. It's going to be based on usage, but you need a scalable system, a tokenized system to be able to keep track of the usage and who's using what, right?
Yeah, definitely. And even just the models themselves, like actually building the models, how does the data get used? How do you reward the people for whom data you're actually building them? Like all of that. It's all kind of like, it's going to take some time, but it's all just makes sense that it just fits in together. And I think that's like the world that we're going to be living in pretty soon. Yeah. And so actually on that topic, there was, I don't know how like close you guys are following all this like AI updates and stuff, but China, I think
very closely. Like I have my finger on the pulse.
Really?
No,
Are you
on.
using the latest AI tools out there?
Yeah, I'm using Grok 3.
Grok, nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think Grok is just...
Is that your AI of choice?
Oh, for sure. It's just in the X platform. I think it's just so easy to just kind of be in that whole suite. It's just so user friendly. And I think I converted Kira.
Nice.
She was on ChatGPT and now she is a Grok fanatic. And so, yeah. What about you? You use several.
I use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I use multiple.
Yeah.
Have
Have
you?
you?
I'm probably mostly using ChatGPT.
Have you figured out any new apps, AI-based apps, that are shifting how your like productivity has kind of gone with different areas?
Outside of ChatGPT?
Yeah, outside of just like a chatbot version. Any other new apps that you guys are using?
Well, our team is using a lot of different kind of AI tools stacked together to make them more efficient.
Yeah.
I would say that we started the year them probably getting a boost of 10 to 15% of efficiency. I think they're probably up to 20 to 25% more efficient with some of the tools like Devin and Copilot and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most material impact in kind of my world.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for me personally, I'm just using ChatGPT.
Yeah. If you guys,
I don't use Google anymore.
Yeah, I don't never use Google search.
Yeah.
Like it's such a waste of it. They do.
They're in trouble.
They are.
It's crazy.
But their AI model, Gemini, is fantastic as well. So,
Yeah.
and I think they're going to figure out how to do it. But right now, if you go to Google search, they'll give you an AI summary.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So like they kind of they know where this kind of is leading to anyway. So they'll give you that, but you don't even go down and search through any of the links anymore.
No.
It's just,
Right.
It's just right there. There's your answer.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
So, but if your team hasn't yet switched to Cursor, 100% recommend using Cursor, which is a code editor for people that don't.
I think they are testing that out too.
Okay, cool. Yeah. It's probably my favorite AI tool.
What's your bump in productivity?
Oh, it's huge. I don't even know
Like
if I
50%? Like,
Yeah, I would
like
say. There's
order
a-
of magnitude.
Yeah, I would say about 50%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
You're 50% more effective as an engineer.
Yeah. Oh,
with
yeah.
Cursor.
Yeah, there's.
So Cursor
pieces
is
of-
definitely like a $10 billion plus company.
Yeah. They have.
Oh
Oh
my
my gosh, it's insane.
But their revenues don't show it yet. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know what their
But
revenues
if
are.
if it's increasing your productivity by 50%, that's
it
game
can
changer.
write.
That's
full-
a game changer.
It can write full sets of
Full
like, code that you don't even need to worry about. Yeah, they have an agent mode there called Composer that you can just feed it this prompt and it'll figure out what to write and go through the errors and figure it out. And
So
crazy.
if that's the case, why would you go through school to be an engineer?
you still need to know what to ask. You still need to understand.
So why wouldn't you be a prompter?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole thing called prompt engineering now.
Right.
Which is,
so you wouldn't go through code school. You'd go to prompt school.
Yeah. So there's a whole class of now product engineers that essentially the ones that usually just create the ideas and create the design plans that can go now and go to a chatbot and say, I want to build this product. Here are my Figma designs, whatever it is. And you pass it in and it'll build it for you. And
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Which
so
is
we're
crazy
getting into a world.
You know, you think about it, like when you're going through, university, they had this big statement. I know they did for you when you were in university. Hey, we're training people for jobs that don't even exist yet.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it's true.
Yeah.
Like, because there was no such thing as prompting AI when you were doing university. And so wonder what people, what jobs exist that people are in university for now that is going to be redundant.
It is interesting because software engineers for the last, 10, 20 years have had a huge competitive advantage.
Oh, they've had a great run.
In terms of like earning potential.
Yeah.
Right. I wonder how much that degrades, right? Or evens out with product managers and designers,
right,
and things like that. I think probably the advantage is not in coding anymore, right? In 2-3 years, it's probably in clarity of thought.
Yeah.
It's how clear can you think?
Yeah.
How clear can you explain something? Communication, right? Experts at communication are going to be really good for an AI world.
And understanding the AI mind. Understanding how an AI responds. That's that prompt.
Yeah, I'll tell you the discussions we've had with just engineers.
Okay.
I think the way that we see it is the people that'll get affected the most is junior engineers. It's like the young engineers that are just coming up, the ones that are still trying to figure it out. AI can essentially do that job.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Yeah, and so, but I think the senior level engineers, the people that are kind of up there that have been in and around the space, that are creating new things, that's the one that you cannot replace.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think there's system level
you're saying
understanding.
like senior engineering is more of like an art.
Yeah. So there's like almost like a
that's a big leap.
Hey,
calling engineers artists.
Listen. I feel like in any space, when you get really good at something, it's all art. It's all art, right?
Yeah.
Like I watch an athlete. It's art, right? Like when they get to that level.
Let's give you that. Let's give you that, Arun. You're an artist, bro.
Listen, you just gotta watch me behind a computer. It's not fun to watch, but
I hear what you're saying because I've connected recently with the former CTO of Venmo. And when you get to that level, right, a CTO of leading thousands of people, you're not coding, right? Everything is leadership. Everything is clarity of thought. You could, but where you really make your money is really mobilizing through leadership, right? The team. By giving direction and things like that. And so I can see that, where you get more and more senior, you're not spending so much time in the grunt work anymore.
Art director.
You're a creative director.
Yeah, but there's a lot coming out. I mean, we don't have to get into it, but there's a lot of AI agentic like updates that are happening, but it just feels like everybody's popping up with something. It's so hard to keep up. So I'm just curious where you guys are at. There's a lot of investments. If you just wrap any AI model and create some niche product, you can probably get an investment right now.
Wow.
You can probably get an investment
for sure. I mean, I think it's almost exclusively just to AI projects.
Yeah.
In terms of VC.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, we're going to be in Dubai for HypeCon during the AI conference. So that's going to be happening right there. So maybe we should just pop our head in, see what's going on.
Why not?
Maybe make some investments. Who knows?
I know last time you guys did a pitch competition. Are you guys doing that again?
We're not going to do a pitch competition at HypeCon Dubai, but at HypeCon Silicon Valley.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, yeah. I think that's about it.
You're going to talk about the Southwest situation.
How did I forget?
I need it.
Okay, before we wrap this podcast up,
intrigue. I don't know
before we wrap
this
podcast up, we got to talk about Southwest changes. So, if you're in the U.S. and you're listening to this podcast, you've probably flown Southwest. One of their big claims to
never
fame.
Again. Yep.
You really?
Oh, I did it one time. It was the worst experience of my life.
Wait, Southwest is like the best.
Oh, you're a fanboy.
To get to Orange County, it's really nice.
Yeah. So first off, they had a lot of really cheap fares. You could fly anywhere in the U.S. They offered 2 free check bags, same day change. It was credits, all of it. It's fantastic.
But you have to hustle for your seat.
Pretty good app, really easy to book, right? A lot of deals.
Yeah.
Want to get away Wednesday? If you know it, you know it. They're changing all of that this year.
I wonder why.
Because
only 2 people liked it, and you were one of them.
That's crazy that you don't fly Southwest.
Bro, you don't even get an assigned seat. You have to hustle. You have to get into a group.
Check in early.
And then you have to kind of hustle. There's no first class. There's no upgrades.
Yeah.
There's no faithful thank you for flying with us 400 times.
There is. You get A-list.
A-list, which is you get to go on the plane first.
And then you get everything's first class.
I feel like a
right?
celebrity now. No, it's terrible.
Yeah, really.
Yes,
You have to pay for everything. Have you heard of Companion Pass?
Ever heard of Companion Pass?
Yeah, so Southwest offers this thing called Companion Pass,
Yeah.
which means you can pick one person to fly with you for free.
Right.
Huge. Guys, me and my wife, one ticket, 2 people. Come on. Every Indian out there knows that's a good deal. That's a good deal.
The Companion Pass.
No, Companion Pass.
So Companion Pass is gone?
No, that's still going to be there. But who wants to fly with no free check bags?
How much is going to be the check bag?
What?
Like $50 each or something?
I don't know. I think it's the base fare is the one that's taking it away from, which is the cheapest fare.
But doesn't,
it's the most
like on other
fare.
airlines, Status gives you free check bags.
Right. So I wonder if A-List continues to give you that. We'll see. We'll see I have to go look into that.
So you're just saying they become every other airline. There's nothing special
Yeah,
about
essentially,
Southwest.
Southwest is becoming every other airline. And
Okay.
so this is what happens. It's been a good run for them. We'll see. There's a lot of, feedback for them that people don't like the change. Obviously, it's, one of the most popular low budget airlines out there. I wouldn't call it low budget. It's not Spirit, Frontier.
Value-based.
Value-based
Yeah.
airlines. Actually, the CPI data that came out today suggests that people aren't traveling that much anymore.
Really?
Yeah, in the last month at least. So people aren't traveling that much, and that's why the inflation's gone down.
That's so crazy
compared
because
to the
like
crashes or something?
I don't know. People maybe people are concerned about where the economy.
you can't say that because I remember at Christmas time and Thanksgiving it was the highest travel day on record. So,
Well, yeah, but that's why between December and January inflation did go up, and then between January and February.
that's not a societal statement. People aren't traveling so much anymore.
This is what the numbers are showing.
Maybe at the beginning of this year, compared to last year.
Yeah, short term.
But I would say air travel is crazier than I've ever seen it. I've been to the airport so much in the last month.
Yeah.
I feel like every weekend I was going to the airport. And Kira and I were literally just saying how crazy the lines is for, TSA pre-check.
Oh, yeah.
It's going in standard and just taking our shoes and, all our clothes off.
SFO?
That you have to
SJC.
have that treatment. SFO.
Oh, SFO was crazy.
Yeah.
And
SFO
it's
was
like, because the
I always try
TSA
to go
pre-check
to
line was like
Yeah.
way longer than the standard
Yeah.
TSA line.
Have you guys gotten clear yet?
I got
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
need
we
to get
got
clear.
all the bells and whistles, but
I need to
none
get
of them
clear.
really seem to advance you quicker.
Even clear? I thought clear was still
No, the
somewhat.
clear was
everybody's
just
got
as
clear.
Everybody's got clear.
Everybody's got TSA pre and clear now.
Clear.
Not everybody.
Global
The other lines are pretty
entry.
big.
Yeah,
It depends on where you go, I think.
Yeah. They're evening
SFO's
out.
nuts.
SFO's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that Southwest.
So what does
thing-
that mean, Arun? Are you changing?
No.
Are you-
I have my status for this year, but after that we'll figure it out.
So you're
Oh, yeah.
you're a status junkie like the rest of us.
Who isn't? If you aren't trying to grind statuses for things, what are
Oh
you doing?
my
Come on,
gosh,
guys. Pick
for
something,
sure.
get loyal, get the
Yes.
status, and then enjoy it.
So that's surprising. Then, since you're in the Bay Area, you're not a United status person.
United is for work travel, so
Okay.
United is for work travel. Southwest personal because of the companion pass.
I can't wait till Starlink gets in all the United
yes.
flights because
It's
United
happening.
typically had the worst Wi-Fi.
It
Yeah,
really-
but
I got
it's
lucky
happening.
on this past one. I just
Yeah.
got back from New Orleans, but typically it's like the worst. But Starlink is rolling out.
Starlink is
that's gonna be
coming.
I feel like if you're gonna pick an airline,
How can you hate
United-
Elon?
Yeah, come on, guys.
What has he done for us?
Yeah.
Come on.
He's improving our lives.
I'm enhanced.
Yeah.
for
Anything you guys want to chat about before we get off about HypeCon Dubai?
Yeah, HypeCon Dubai happening in April.
Yep.
We've got a really good lineup that we're going to announce very soon of some great speakers. I'll be there, Vance will be there, and it's just going to be our first hype event really in the Middle East.
That's right.
And in such an innovative place. I think the conference itself is going to be fun, but just the hangs.
Yeah.
We're really planning on having a bunch of dinners with people and opening up just some connections, go to Dubai Mall, one of the greatest malls on the planet,
Wow.
and just having some fun in, I would say, just an entrepreneurial epicenter. I think if you go to Dubai, your eyes open to potential, think bigger. So I think just being in the environment, I would highly encourage anybody to make it an investment. It is expensive. It's a long way away. Flights aren't Southwest flights. They don't fly there. But, there are some great opportunities just to get there. I think it's expensive to get there, but it's pretty cheap on the ground.
Yeah. You know who does fly there? United.
There you go.
So if you do want to pick an airline. Fantastic. Well, it's been a great episode.
Yes.
Excited to hear what everybody has to say. If you do, we're going to be posting a lot of these clips on socials. Respond. Give us some feedback.
How can they follow the social? What's the social
Hype
handle?
Network
Yes.
is our social.
Yep.
Definitely give it a follow.
Yep.
You can just respond. Please, just comment.
Hey,
Be
that's
like,
cool.
this sucks. This is great. This is, whatever it is. We
Say
wanna hear
this
from you.
sucks.
Maybe don't
It's
say that,
fantastic.
but
Freedom of speech, whatever you want to say. We
Okay.
might, if it gets too crazy, we might have to take it down. So maybe
Okay.
not too much freedom of speech.
Okay, so let's do this. So if they interact on social, maybe we'll hit a topic on the pod. Can we do some
Yes.
shout outs to people
Yeah.
who
Maybe some merch drops.
mention?
Yeah.
Oh, that could be fun.
Oh, hype merch is great.
Yeah,
So you
it is.
definitely want the hype.
Yeah,
merch.
that little tech bro vest.
Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on.
yeah. You
That's
want
so
you
good.
want the hype merch. All right, cool. We'll do it. We'll do whatever it is. Give
We'll
us some
do
topics.
it.
We'll do it. We'll do it. We just want some interaction. We
Yeah.
like people. We're
We do.
people here.
We're all about humanity.
There you go.
Like Elon.
Shout out Elon. All right, cheers, guys.